So, Doom: The Dark Ages is one of the top video games that people are looking forward to in relation to 2025. And I honestly feel that there's a lot of hype surrounding this game. And I know for a fact that there were a lot of people who were impressed by the trailer because when I watched the video and I looked at the comment section, it was nothing but, positive, comments for the most part. People were very high on this game. But the only thing about it is that there's not going to be any multiplayer gameplay, at least, not to my knowledge. And I think Beth Sheeta has taken a huge gamble on this upcoming Doom game by not having multiplayer gameplay because you look at all the other main Doom games that's come out since 1993, they've all had multiplayer gameplay. And I think the reason why they've decided to omit multiplayer gameplay in Doom the Dark Ages is because it was something that was heavily criticized in Doom Eternal, which came out back in 2016. Now, despite the fact that that game did at least 3 mil in terms of sales, and the fact that they tried to add death to the multiplayer game mode by having like death matches and King of the Hill and game modes like that, it's something that a lot of people criticized. They felt like it could have been much better than what it was, and it could have been handled a lot better. And and when it comes down to like multiplayer gameplay in relation to first person shooters, people are very picky nowadays. And you've seen that with the Halo series because a lot of people say that, Halo 5 Guardians from 2015 and, it was not like the multiplayer gameplay was not nearly as good as the Halo multiplayer game modes that we got back in like the late or the mid to late 2000s with like Halo uh, 3 for the most part. And and I do feel that, like Doom, as much as it is evolved and in terms of like graphics and gameplay and realism and all that stuff. Doom, I don't think can match Halo in terms of like multiplayer game modes in relation to death or anything like that. So maybe they just decide to focus more on single player gameplay and the story and all that stuff. And honestly, I don't blame them. I feel like the hype alone is going to make people want to buy it, and I do feel it's going to do at least like 2 to 3 mil in terms of sales. Because as popular as Doom is, and as long as it's been around, I still feel like for the most part it's niche, and it only appeals to like a niche audience. And you can tell, like in terms of sales and all that other stuff. And Doom Eternal, I believe, was a game that did at least 3 mil in sales, and I think the same can be said for Doom 3, which came out back in 2004. And speaking of Doom 3, I'm a bit shocked that Beth Sheeta has not, remade that game because it's been at least 20 years since that game was released. And, you think they would have done something special for its 20-year anniversary, but maybe that's something that's going to happen a little bit later down the line. Um, yeah, there's a lot like, riding on this game in terms of like, success and all that other stuff. But then you look at like the list of games that Bethesda has had within the past couple of years. For the most part, they've been pretty good. I mean, take a look at Ghostwire Tokyo from 2022. That was a game that, on one hand, like the presentation and the gameplay looked cool, but there were people who heavily criticized the game because it could have been better, and it felt uninspired and blah 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 and all that other stuff. But then again, I mean, it got like a really good meta score. I can't remember what it was off the top of my head, but people had good things to say about it for the most part. It's just that it didn't really sell too well or anything like that. And I don't know. I feel like it's one of the more underrated video games that came out back in 2022. We also got Hi-Fi Rush, which came out back in 2023. I feel like that's probably one of the most underrated video games in 2023, and it's saying a lot because there was a lot of high-profile video games that came out that year to a point where I feel like that game just got overlooked altogether. I think we had gotten like Mighty Doom, which also came out in 2023. It was more of a roguelike top-down shooter title, and I think it was more of a spin-off game than the main entry. And I don't know. I mean, that game was something that a lot of people really didn't like because of like microtransactions and all that other stuff. And I think it's something that people forgot about. And of course, we had Starfield, which came out back in, I believe it came out last year, this past fall. That was a game that got a lot of mainstream attention, and it's a game that got like nothing but good reviews for the most part. But there's a lot of people who feel like that game is highly overrated, and that's kind of saying a lot considering what kind of year 2023 was for like video games and all that stuff. Doom the Dark Ages, I feel like it'd be a game that would have stood out more if it came out this year in relation to the first person shooter genre. But next year I feel like it's going to be somewhat of a blockbuster year in relation to video game releases because we got GTA 6, we got Metroid Prime 4, and we have a couple of other games that's supposed to be coming out next year as well. And I feel that I feel as a first person shooter, Doom the Dark Ages is going to stand out pretty well. I feel like it's going to be a game that quite possibly either equals or surpasses Doom Eternal in terms of sales overall in the long run. Because even though the first person shooter genre is not as popular as it was during the 2000s or the early teens, the Doom franchise is a big enough name to a point where people will check it out to see how it compares to the previous installments, mainly Doom Eternal for the most part. And obviously, this game's not going to be on the Switch or the Switch 2 because this is most likely going to be an M-rated game that only appeals to young adults and all that. But a lot of people are looking forward to this game, and they're looking forward to learning more about Doomslayer and his character and what kind of weapons he's going to have and what kind of ending the game is going to have and all that stuff. I think the storytelling, the inventory in relation to weapons and the realism and all that stuff are all going to be they're all going to be like things and elements that people are going to be looking at in terms of determining what type of game this upcoming Doom title is going to be. And as it currently stands, we don't have an official release date for Doom: The Dark Ages. Hopefully, we'll get a official release date for this game sometime either before the end of the year or during the first half of 2025. I'm expecting it to be released sometime during Q3 or Q4 of next year because my guess is that if it were to be released during Q1, Q2 of next year, we would have known by now. So obviously, Beth Sheeta has more to show us in relation to this upcoming Doom game, and hopefully, we'll learn more about the release date and about the game itself sooner than later.